You are not defined by your past. You are not sentenced to a future that looks like yesterday. You are energy, pure potential. And if you can change your energy, you can change your healing. Most people believe that healing is physical. That if something in the body is broken, you need something external to fix it. A pill, a surgery, a protocol. But that's only one layer. Real, sustainable healing doesn't begin on the outside. It begins within. It begins with energy. Everything in the universe is energy. Your body, your thoughts, your emotions. They all emit frequencies. When you're stuck in fear, worry, anger, or regret, you're broadcasting a low frequency. The body hears that signal and adjusts. It prepares for survival. And when the body is in survival mode, healing is no longer the priority. The immune system weakens, inflammation rises, hormones fall out of balance. Cells forget how to communicate, so the first step toward healing isn't to fix the body, it's to change the signal you're sending to it. You must become conscious of the energy you're living in, because your body is always listening. You see, every thought you think produces a biochemical reaction. And that reaction causes you to feel a certain way. That feeling becomes a state of being. Over time, if you think the same thoughts, feel the same emotions, and live by the same reactions every single day, your body becomes conditioned to that state. It becomes addicted to that energy. This is why people can be stuck in cycles of stress, pain, or disease. They wake up in the morning and immediately recall yesterday. Same worries, same fears, same identity, and by doing so, they recreate the same future. They live in a predictable past, rehearsing their limitations over and over again. But here's the truth. Your future doesn't have to look like your past. Healing doesn't happen by chance. It happens by choice, and that choice begins with energy. So how do you change your energy? First, you must become aware. Sit with yourself. Observe your thoughts without judgment. Notice the emotions you're carrying. Are they aligned with survival, or are they aligned with creation? Next, you must make the decision to shift. This is not just mental work, it's energetic work. If you want to experience healing, you have to feel like the version of you who is already healed. That means generating emotions before the evidence shows up. You don't wait for the body to be well to feel grateful. You feel grateful, and you teach the body what wellness feels like. Gratitude, joy, compassion, love. These are elevated emotions, and elevated emotions broadcast elevated frequencies. When you sustain those frequencies, you enter a new energetic state, a healing state. Cells begin to regenerate. Brain chemistry changes, the immune system strengthens, the body receives the new blueprint. But it doesn't stop there. You must practice this state every single day, because your old energy has momentum. Your old identity wants to pull you back. It says, this is who you are. This is how you've always been. This is what you've always felt. But that's not truth. That's just memorized emotion. You are not your past pain. You are not your diagnosis. You are not your story. You are consciousness. And consciousness, when combined with elevated energy, becomes transformation. When you change your energy, when you begin your day not in reaction to the past, but in the creation of the future, your body responds, your biology listens, and healing becomes not just possible, but inevitable. This work isn't about pretending. It's not about faking a smile or forcing positivity. It's about generating an authentic inner state that aligns with the vision of your healing. It's about embodying a new future now, feeling it, living it, becoming it, before the physical world gives you permission. Because when your internal world becomes more real than your external one, you are no longer a victim to circumstance. You are a creator of change, and the body follows the mind, not just once, but repeatedly, consistently, until it becomes your new energy, until it becomes your new normal, until it becomes your new healing. There is a pharmacy within you more powerful than any pill, more intelligent than any prescription, and more specific than any diagnosis. That pharmacy is your mind. Every thought you think sends a signal. Every emotion you feel releases a chemical. Your brain is not just a processing unit. It is a chemist, producing a cocktail of neuropeptides, hormones, and neurotransmitters in response to your internal world. And those chemicals don't just stay in your head. They flow through your body, instructing every cell, every organ, every system how to behave. The truth is this: your mind has the capacity to either poison or heal your body, moment by moment, thought by thought. Science has shown us that when you think a stressful thought, when you anticipate danger, worry about failure, or relive trauma, the brain activates the same circuits as if the threat were real. Cortisol spikes. Adrenaline floods your system, the heart races, digestion shuts down, the immune system weakens, all because of a thought. The body doesn't know the difference between an actual threat and an imagined one. That's the power of your mind, and if a thought can make you sick, then a thought can also make you well. When you begin to think elevated thoughts, when you direct your mind toward possibility, hope, gratitude, and love, the brain shifts into a different chemistry. Instead of cortisol, it produces dopamine. Instead of adrenaline, it releases oxytocin. Instead of survival, it signals growth and repair. These aren't just feel-good ideas. These are measurable biochemical realities. Gratitude, for example, has been shown to strengthen the immune system, reduce inflammation, and enhance heart rate variability. Joy floods the brain with serotonin. Compassion boosts natural killer cell activity. These aren't just emotions. They are medicinal compounds manufactured inside your own brain. And here's the miracle. You don't have to wait for something in your life to change in order to feel those emotions. You don't need a reason to be grateful. You don't need a perfect life to feel joy. You can create the internal chemistry of healing by choice. That's the real alchemy, using thought and emotion to shift your inner world, regardless of your outer one. But most people live backwards. They wait. They wait for the diagnosis to go away before they feel peace. They wait for the relationship to be fixed before they feel love. They wait for the body to be healthy before they feel grateful. And in that waiting, they send a very specific signal to the body. We are not safe yet. We are not whole yet. We are not healed yet. But what if you could reverse that pattern? What if you could teach the body what it feels like to be healed right now by changing your mind? You must become the placebo. You must believe in a future you cannot yet see and behave as if it is already real, not through hope, not through blind faith, but through repetition, focus, and intention. When you begin to visualize your healing with clarity, the brain doesn't know it's not happening. It begins to map new neural pathways. It wires for wellness. The body listens and begins to match the new mind. Cells respond to new signals, genes express new proteins, the pharmacy of your brain is open and active. You are not waiting for healing to happen, you are practicing it, rehearsing it, feeling it, and by doing that, you turn possibility into biology. But the mind must be coherent. Scattered thinking produces scattered chemistry. You cannot think about the worst while expecting the best. You cannot entertain doubt while asking for certainty. You must align your thoughts, your emotions, and your intentions in the same direction. When thought and feeling are in harmony, you enter a state of coherence. And coherence is when the mind and heart are in agreement. That's when the signal to the body becomes strong and consistent. That's when the pharmacy within you begins to work at full capacity. This is not about controlling every thought. It's about cultivating awareness. You begin to notice the chemicals you're addicted to: stress, fear, guilt, and you stop feeding them with your focus. You interrupt the pattern. And then you replace it with intention, with elevated emotion, with presence. You choose a new thought, and you teach your body to feel it again and again until the body memorizes wellness, until it becomes your new chemical signature, until it becomes your new normal. You can't heal in the same environment you got sick in. Expand it up to minimum 600 words, and do not add any ending sentence. Healing requires more than a prescription. It requires transformation, and one of the most vital truths in that transformation is this: you cannot heal in the same environment you got sick in. That environment isn't just the physical place you live. It isn't just the air you breathe or the food you eat. It's also the internal environment, the thoughts you repeat, the emotions you recycle, the beliefs you've memorized and rehearsed over a lifetime. If you live every day thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, and performing the same behaviors, your body remains anchored in the past. And if your body is living in the past, your biology is too. The same stress hormones, the same inflammatory markers, the same immune suppression. You keep signaling to your body that the threat is still here, that the wound hasn't closed, that the sickness, on some level, still serves a purpose in your current state of being. The environment that made you sick could be external: a toxic relationship, a stressful job, constant noise, pressure, conflict. But it's not enough to leave those things behind physically. You also have to detox from them energetically. Because the memory of them often lingers in your nervous system, in your breath, in your posture, in your thoughts. Many people try to heal while still living inside the frequency of the problem. They want wellness, but they wake up in stress. They meditate, but carry resentment into their stillness. They visualize health, but return to their addiction to worry and doubt. The mind says heal, but the body says survive. And the body always wins if the mind isn't fully aligned. You cannot shift your biology until you shift your environment, and that begins with recognizing what you're actually immersed in, not just outside of you, but within you. When you stay in a loop of familiar emotions like fear, guilt, shame, or unworthiness, you stay in the emotional signature of the problem. Those chemicals are addictive. The body becomes dependent on them, and it begins to crave them. And then, unconsciously, you start looking for the same people, situations, and memories to justify those emotions. Not because you want to suffer, but because that suffering has become your identity. It's what you know, but healing requires that you step into the unknown, that you leave the predictable environment of your past self and enter a space of possibility. That's uncomfortable. The unknown is unfamiliar. The body resists it, but that is where healing begins, not in safety, but in surrender. You must become a new environment for your cells. If you want your body to regenerate, you must change what you expose it to. That means new thoughts that produce new chemistry, new emotions that raise your vibration, new routines that signal to your body that life is no longer a threat, but a space for growth. If you wake up in the morning and immediately revisit your problems, your regrets, your pain, you've re-entered the environment of the sickness. The body tightens, the stress hormones rise, and your healing is paused again. But if you wake up and begin to rehearse gratitude, connection, and joy, even if you don't feel it at first, you begin to teach your body a new reality, a healing reality. You must become the architect of a new inner landscape. You must become so aware of your triggers, your old emotional addictions, your habitual reactions, that you can consciously interrupt them and install something new. You must cultivate thoughts that are no longer wired to the identity of pain. You must rehearse feelings that your body has forgotten, and you must do this over and over until the new environment becomes more familiar than the old one. You are not just healing a body, you are healing a personality. You are letting go of a version of yourself that was created by stress, trauma, repetition, and fear. And that version will not come with you into wellness. You cannot bring the energy of the wound into the reality of healing. One must dissolve for the other to emerge. The body listens to its environment. If the signal is incoherent, the cells stay in defense. But when the signal becomes whole, when it becomes elevated, coherent, and aligned, the body shifts out of protection and into regeneration. The work, then, is to become so conscious of the environment you are immersed in physically, mentally, emotionally, that you begin to alter it with intention. You become the signal, the space, the frequency of healing. And in doing so, you no longer wait for healing to happen. You become the environment in which it must. Healing does not happen in the past. It does not happen in the future. It happens now, in this breath, in this heartbeat, in this present moment. The present moment is the portal. Most people live disconnected from the now. Their attention is fractured. Their body is here, but their mind is elsewhere, living a painful memory or projecting anxiety into an imagined future. And in doing so, they close the door to the only space where change is possible. The body doesn't distinguish between past, present, or future. It only responds to what you give your attention to. When you recall a traumatic event, your body relives it. When you worry about what could go wrong tomorrow, your body prepares as if the danger is already happening. Your heart rate increases, your breath shortens, and your immune system weakens, all based on thought alone. This is the survival state. It is a state of separation from the body, from the heart, from the unified field of intelligence that surrounds all life. And when you live in that state long enough, you begin to believe that you are your pain. You are your story. You are your history. You become defined by what has already happened or by what hasn't happened yet. But healing begins the moment you return to presence, not as a concept, not as a theory, but as an experience. The present moment is not a passive space. It is alive, intelligent, and transformative. It is the space where all potential exists, where the body can shift from fight or flight into growth and repair, where the mind can enter coherence and the heart can open. In the present moment, you leave the known. You step out of the familiar programs that have kept you stuck, programs of self, doubt, fear, unworthiness. You stop running from the past or chasing the future and instead meet yourself fully now. And in that stillness, a new signal is sent to the body, a signal of safety, a signal of peace, a signal that says it is okay to heal now. To access that space, you must learn to become aware, deeply aware of the thoughts you are thinking and the emotions you are feeling. You begin to recognize how often your mind drifts into memories, into loops of regret, blame, or control. You catch it. You gently bring it back, not through force, but through intention. The breath is the anchor. The breath is the bridge between body and mind. When you become conscious of your breath, its rhythm, its depth, its movement, you call your awareness home, and when your awareness is unified, when your attention is no longer scattered, you step into a place of inner coherence. That's when the portal opens. That's when you move from thinking to being, from doing to allowing, from effort to alignment. And it's in that state of being that your nervous system relaxes. Your brain waves slow down. Your heart begins to beat in rhythm with the present, and the body, no longer in survival, finally receives the signal to repair. Most people seek healing with their intellect. They study, analyze, and research endlessly, but stay trapped in the mind. But the mind cannot think its way into healing. It must feel its way. It must quiet enough to let the deeper intelligence of the body emerge, and that only happens here now. When you live in the past, you're recreating what you've already experienced. When you live in the future, you're often reinforcing what you fear. But in the present, you enter a space of infinite potential, a space untouched by old wounds or imagined limits. It's the realm where you're no longer your name, your age, your diagnosis, or your story. You are simply awareness, pure, observing, conscious presence, and in that space you can plant a new intention, you can feel a new emotion, you can embody a new energy, you can send a coherent, elevated signal into the field and invite the body to respond in kind. The cells listen, the chemistry shifts, the heart becomes magnetic, the brain becomes electric. Healing is no longer something you wait for. It is something you experience directly, but it must begin with presence. Because the present is the only place where your body exists, the only place where consciousness can interface with biology, the only place where the frequency of truth is felt, not as a thought, but as a reality. Not as something to reach for, but as something to return to. The portal is always here. It is never closed. It is never far. It only requires that you arrive. Every thought you think is an electrical signal in the brain. Every emotion you feel is a chemical signal in the body. When those two forces come together, when a clear intention aligns with an elevated emotion, you unlock a mechanism within you that has the power to change everything. Most people live their lives creating with intention alone. They say what they want: healing, freedom, abundance, love. They set goals. They write affirmations. They visualize. But underneath those intentions, they are still feeling the emotions of the past: fear, doubt, resentment, unworthiness. And so the signal they send out is incoherent. One part of them says, "I want to be well," but the emotion says, "I don't believe I can." And the body responds to the stronger signal, the one that's felt. Intention without elevated emotion is like trying to light a fire without a spark. It's thought without power. To create real, meaningful change in your life, you must do more than think your future. You must feel it into existence. When you elevate your emotional state, you shift your entire energy field. Joy, gratitude, inspiration, compassion, love. These are high frequency emotions. They are expansive, magnetic, creative. When you begin to feel them, even before there's a reason to, you are signaling to your body and the quantum field that the event you desire has already occurred. The body, as the unconscious mind, doesn't know the difference between the actual experience and the vividly imagined one. It begins to believe, it begins to rewire, it begins to change. The process is not about pretending. It's not about faking positivity. It's about generating a new inner reality that becomes more real than the outer one. It's about practicing that elevated emotion until your body becomes conditioned to it, until your emotional state is no longer dependent on your external environment, but driven from within. And once that emotional state is consistent, the intention you place upon it becomes amplified. That's where creation begins. A clear intention is like a blueprint, a specific vision for what you want to experience. It is directed thought, focused and coherent. Not vague hope, but detailed, deliberate mental imagery. It could be a vision of your healed body, of your thriving life, of a relationship filled with deep connection. The more precise the intention, the more powerful the signal. But that vision is just the frame. It's the structure. What brings it to life is the elevated emotion you attach to it. When you combine the two, elevated emotion and clear intention, you broadcast a new electromagnetic signature into the field. The heart, filled with gratitude or joy, becomes magnetic. The brain, focused on the vision, becomes electric. And together, they send a coherent signal that influences matter, changes biology, and draws new experiences toward you. This isn't philosophy. This is physiology. Your brain and heart emit measurable fields. Your thoughts and feelings are not contained in your skull or your chest. They extend beyond you, influencing everything around you. And the more coherent and elevated your state of being, the more synchronized that influence becomes. The challenge for most is consistency. Old habits, old identities, and old emotional addictions try to pull you back into the familiar. But you must rehearse your new state every day. Rehearse the emotion, rehearse the vision, rehearse the energy of your future self, until it becomes more familiar than the old one. You become the person who is already living in that future. You walk, breathe, and act from that state, and by doing that, your body becomes the mind of your future. Your chemistry reflects the experience before it happens. Your nervous system aligns with the frequency of your vision. And the field begins to rearrange itself to reflect your new internal state. This is how healing happens, not by waiting, not by hoping, but by generating, by bringing the future into the now with enough energy, clarity, and coherence that your body cannot help but believe it is real.